So as the US continues with its surge of 30,000 extra forces into Afghanistan, now probably NATO's biggest joint operation to remove the Taliban from this major power base in the southwest of the country is underway. What are its aims? And what about NATO's military cooperation with Pakistan? Well, I asked NATO's Supreme Military Commander, Admiral James Stavridis.
We are going to put a mix of coalition and Afghan forces in a ratio of about 1-to-1 will be in this fight, and they're going to go at the heart of the Pashtun insurgency, which is in this Marjah area. We're going to go in, clear it, we're going to hold, we're going to bring Afghan police in behind, we're going to bring in the civilians behind, and we're going to build. And we're doing it because it's the heart of the insurgency.
But how do you square a massive use of force like this against the civilian population with what's a clear new policy of yours, which is to avoid casualties for civilians?
Well, you've heard me say many times, Nick, that in the end, we will not deliver security from the barrel of a gun in Afghanistan, in the end. But we are still at the stage in parts of the country where we very much need to use direct military force, at least initially. That's what's happening in Marjah. But I assure you that doing so without the concomitant addition of civilian partners who come in behind in the cleared security area will not succeed. So General McChrystal and I have talked about this at great length. His plan is very much to go in, clear, and immediately bring in the forces that will come behind. And when I say forces, I mean the civilian governance piece that has to come in behind to partner with the people.
How worried are you, though, that you may alienate the very people you're trying to convince of the wisdom of the NATO operation and the Western policy?
Well, let me refer to a BBC poll recently conducted, I think about 4 weeks ago. 1,500 people all around Afghanistan. It was a BBC, ABC, ARD poll, completely neutral, unbiased poll. It found that the Taliban have less than 6% approval rating, whereas the government forces have over 70% approval rating. So to answer your question, given those kinds of metrics and that kind of polling, I am fairly confident that our forces will be able to go in, will be successful militarily, and that the concomitant surge which will follow will, in fact, be a very positive development.
Here we are 10 days on from the London summit, when it was clear there would be outreach to elements of the Taliban. Has there been any response? Is there any indication one way or the other?
That's not something that I'm directly involved in, Nick, so I wouldn't comment on it, other than to say that I think it's very clear that we have to have both a security dimension alongside any kind of discussion of reconciliation. And in the end, that reconciliation process is going to be an Afghan process. It has to. I do want to make a point about reintegration, which is bringing in the Taliban fighters who are willing to lay down their arms. I think there's real potential in that, and we're going to move very aggressively after the reintegration piece. The reconciliation piece, again, I think is going to have to be an Afghan-led process, and it's going to have to run parallel to security operations.
How would you characterize your relationship now with Pakistan? The head of the Pakistan Armed Forces, General Kiani, was at NATO headquarters, at your military headquarters, literally 2 weeks ago. You are now working in a very close relationship with them. What kind of relationship is it?
I would categorize the relationship overall as excellent, a lot of communication, and I think, as we all know, Pakistan is in a very tough counterterrorism fight, and they're doing well. They need to succeed. The coalition and, above all, the Afghans need to succeed on both sides of that border. It's crucial, and it's part of one seamless area of operations.
Of course, you didn't have any official contacts with Pakistan a couple of years ago. Here you are having this excellent relationship. What does that mean militarily in terms of information sharing and joint operations across the border?
Well, I think you've categorized it. It's a sharing of information. It is a...
Intelligence?
There is intelligence that is shared. Operations do not go back and forth. NATO is operating on its side of the border, and the Pakistanis are operating on their side of the border.
Except the UAVs, the drones. They're operating into North Waziristan.
I don't have any comment on specific operations along those lines.
But what about sharing of information? Is it now good information? Are they helping targeting with intelligence?
I am finding an excellent flow of information across the border. I wouldn't want to categorize it in any further detail for operational reasons.
Admiral James Stavridis there, the NATO Supreme Military Commander. You're with the hub. The Indian Army